So today we have Mandi Line here, costume designer extraordinaire, and also the costume designer for Pretty Little Liars, which I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Very excited. So let's just jump right into it about costume design. What kind of got you into costume design?
Gosh, I always say I dated the right person, but the truth is I modeled when I was in high school and then realized that I felt like eating one day. And I didn't know anything else but that industry. And I really love fashion, and I grew up with no money at all, and I would make my clothes in high school. And then found this small internship on a movie. I didn't even know, like, people dress themselves, like, they don't dress themselves. This is weird. Started interning, knew this is what I wanted to do, and then an ex-boyfriend from high school called me, and I really started taking off when he said, you know, there's this new band named Lincoln Park, you should come see them. And I was like, ugh, nice name. I have never heard of them. Wow, they're gonna be huge. Cut to dressing in rock bands and just like going from there. So put my work in, time in, worked for free, and then realized that I did date the right person from high school because he ended up being a great, huge director.
Right. Wow. That's like a great story.
Yes. Cool.
So did you start out making a lot of your own ideas and kind of altering the clothing that you were?
Yeah, it did start out like that because there really was there was budgets for the videos, but no one really got styling or, you know, costume designing back then. So my niche became taking suit jackets, like Jared Leto and I started doing this, taking suit jackets, turning them inside out, ripping the seams out, and it's just stuff they did in the 80s, like punk rock, spray painting, safety pins, and just, it's like deconstructing,
right,
what we called it. And so I became the girl that like tore shit up and cut things, and I still, till this day, I think it's one of the things that I still get hired for is if you're on set and they're like, this isn't working, I'm like, scissors please, and I just go in and chop, and that little punk rock kid comes out of me.
Designing all these costumes and putting things together, deconstructing, what is one of the most epic costumes that you think or at least the one that you feel the closest with, that you stepped back and said, yeah, I did it. That's great.
Now that I have the luxury to have a tailor, so it's the coolest thing ever. I can take the craziness that's in here, put it on paper, and show a woman and she can make it. This is like insane because I had to do it myself. So I was going to say the masquerade ball from Pretty Little Liars. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stick with this because this new one, I have yet to see it come to life. So one of my favorite things was Pink at the MTV Awards or Grammys, I forget which one. She walked down the runway in a black and red striped gown, and everyone was in like, you know, beautiful things. And she came, she just owned it. It was so punk rock and so awesome. And so we had a masquerade ball in Pretty Little Liars, and I thought, oh my God, this is it, I can design it. My producer looks at the budget, she's like, no way, this is crazy. We ended up doing it, but we actually made the fabric because the stripes had to get bigger and they didn't come like that. So we made the fabric.
We made the fabric?
Yeah, it's literally the tailor room stitched growing stripes, and they had to move a certain way, and it just didn't exist. So still to this day, it's Aria's masquerade costume from Pretty Little Liars.
So when you're shopping, and you're shopping for maybe something unusual, something unique, what is your favorite place to shop besides, obviously, maybe the Warner Brothers costume house? But
God, my favorite place besides my closet.
Besides your closet.
They never fit these little girls. I always start with, I really do, I start with department stores. I start with Nordy's, Bloomies, Macy's, because it's the base of things that I need. So I need that structure. And then I go to Wasteland and all these cool, I'm not a vintage girl, I will never claim I'm vintage, but if you get me into a thrift store, I'll find the 80s aisle and the 90s aisle, and I'm like, oh, that sleeve is cool, that neckline's cool. So I have a good base from the department stores, which is, you know, and the prices are smart there too. I mean, I would love to be in Neiman's and Barney's all day, but I would walk out broke and have every kind of perfume on me you can think of. So I love doing, you know, like the old school, like Melrose, the grungy stores that I like to put in and embellish on, you know, on top of the trendy retail stuff. Because it's one thing to go and shop, you know, what's in, but I think it's another thing to put your name on it.
Explore and find it.
Yeah.
What about flea markets? Do you ever go to the flea
Oh
market?
my God, I used to.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that the older I get and the more spoiled I get in this industry, I go less.
Right.
And then, like, you know, the young girls that work with me are like, oh my God, I'm going to go shopping this week. And I was like, oh my God, I can't shop anymore. I'm going to die. I do love flea markets, mainly for their jewelry.
Okay.
It's so great in layering pieces and stuff. But the bummer about flea markets and television is we need doubles a lot. So I can find an amazing piece, and then they're like, oh, we have one from 1960. So I love it, but I don't want to get caught up in needing doubles at a certain point.
So would that be the same for shoes, obviously?
Well, the thing about shoes is that the later you go back in time, the smaller feet are. So it's hard to find a vintage shoe that's gonna work.
Right.
Because they're just smaller people back in the past. So
right.
I think shoes these days, which I remember thinking, God, I wish they had, you know, a studded high boot and they make it. I think people like Sam Edelman and Steve Madden, Jessica Simpson they keep topping themselves.
Right.
So it's not like I don't have to go to thrift stores to find vintage motorcycle boots anymore. You know, Jimmy Choo has them. It's like higher end people are getting more edgy.
All right, so designing for all these different characters, or pulling and kind of co-creating with these characters and yourself, what do you think is probably one of the biggest kind of challenges when it comes to kind of finding the right look for that character?
I've learned recently, I think the biggest challenge is working with the actor as they grow up, as they become. Our girls on Pretty Little Liars are style icons.
Yes.
And so they come from this beautiful, pretty world, you know, New York Fashion Week, and they come back to reality where they play a sporty lesbian, a unique little rocker chick, the most popular girl in school, and the preppy rich girl. So it's reminding these actors, this is who you are, this is who we started off with. Viewers want to see the aria. Viewers love Lucy Hale, but they want the aria. And most of my actors, most of the time, they'll start to get a little difficult, and they'll go, oh my God, Mandy, I'm so sorry. I came, you know, they're into their world now, and they get back in, and I think the good actors always remember who they are.
Right.
So I think it's all psychology behind it all.
And I think, I'm so sorry, I know that was the last question, but I was just thinking also, because you have such an impact in social media yourself. I mean, how do you feel like, because I'm sure they're saying, you know, suggestions, or I love this.
All the time. Like, how dare I put a character in a color that this character wears? And it's funny because I really now try to listen to the viewers and what they say, and I'm like, oh, you know what? They were right. I kind of thought that was a little too much, or I'm getting a little boring with this character. I got to step it up. So I think it's interesting that the viewers have a voice now, and I try my best to listen.
Right.
And then I try my best not to get mad if they say something that they
like
don't like.
not
I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute. They're
Let me explain
they're
why.
like 13. I need to stop. And my friends will call me and be like, yeah, so and so didn't like those boots. I was like, well, you know what? I was like, oh my God, really, Mandy? You're getting mad? She's like 10.
Yeah, no.
Just watch.
Would that be mostly on Instagram that people like? Where do you find that people are?
I'm too lazy to go to Twitter and Facebook.
Okay.
I just look at Instagram because it's just like, you know, before you go to bed, you like zone out.
Yes.
And it's Instagram, and then people speak different languages all the time, and I don't know what they're saying.
Okay.
There's so much like Spanish and French. I was like, oh, I hope that's good. So yeah, for me, I just do a lot of Instagram. It goes to Twitter, but
okay.
I think I mess up too much when I do Twitter.
Okay, great. Great. Thank you
Awesome.
so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.